it has that element to it, that struggle element to it, for sure.
And so the new album is, tell me the name of that again. It comes out late August, right?
August 30th is the official release date. It's called Ghostly Musings from the Delta, which is, of course, a reference to the Delta Blues. Yeah, and I think I actually, when it comes to digital distribution, there are some things I can't control, so I suspect iTunes might have it up way before August 30th, and I can't control that. But the official release date is August 30th.
Now, is this a bit of a departure from the grassy theme? We spoke earlier about it being more in line with blues, and obviously the Delta is, that you blues and the Delta kind of are synonymous.
Well, yeah. The funny thing is, I think if you listen to my four, if you take away the singles and listen to the four long releases I've had, they are all very different. I think that the least different are the first and second one, but between the second one and Cowboy Dreams, there's a gigantic difference, and then between Cowboy Dreams and this, there's a gigantic difference. And that was, I'm not going to say that was purposeful, but it wasn't strategic. But like I mentioned earlier, I really, really don't want to box myself. So I'm going to write what I'm feeling, and I'm going to put that out there. And, hopefully the people that follow me will appreciate my adventure and be on board with it. But I'm blessed by the fact that I actually have a very good, let's call it day job. So to me, the finance, I have a lot of freedom in music because I don't depend on the sales of my releases to make a living.
Okay.
That's enhancement. And I realize that's a very fortunate position to be in compared to many of my musician friends who strictly make a living for music and have to be much more conscious of what's going to sell and what's not. Mm-hmm. I'm actually more about what do I like and what am I proud to put out there. That's more of a driver to me than how much it's going to sell.
What do you do for a day job? Is it related, or is it the typical, somewhere out in the world 9 to 5 kind of job?
I do two different things, and one of them is related to music, and one is not. I'll start with the non-music one, which I think is going to be surprising. I actually analyze contracts I'm a consultant for a few businesses, and I analyze contracts from a risk perspective.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So it's funny because I don't have a law degree background or anything like that, but I do have a very extensive contracts history, and I was involved in construction for a long time, and I've seen a lot of projects go bad. So I know how to identify things that have the potential of going bad in projects. And companies realize this, and they pay me very well to analyze their contracts and give them feedback on it. So that's my, let's call it, professional job.
Yeah.
And then my other job is I'm a producer. I produce other artists as well, and cool. That's in the last 3 years that's really been taken off. In fact, I have a gig coming up. An artist coming from France is going to spend a month and a half here, and we're gonna make a record. So that's my other job.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a lot more fun than the contract.
Yeah, sure. So when you get the opportunity to play out with your music, where do you find your audience is the most receptive? What do you find your music is resonating with, or who do you find your music is resonating with the most?
Well, California surprised me when I moved here because as a guy who had never lived in the West Coast, my idea of California was what you see in the movies, L.A., Hollywood, that thing. But that's really L.A. and Northern California, where I live, is actually quite different. And there's I see a lot more similarities between Northern California, the outskirts of where I live in Sacramento, and the outskirts of where I live in Virginia. I find a lot more similarities between those two than I do between here and LA. Here and LA are two different worlds.
Yeah.
But the people that live in the outskirts here, the farmers and et cetera, that reminds me a lot more of the people that live in the smaller towns in Virginia. And it comes, and I'm talking about everything from political sensibilities to to artistic sensibilities to everything else. And I find that my sweet spot, audience-wise, is with those people. So if I play a festival out, here, let's call it Placerville or Nevada City, Nevada City is about an hour and a half from where I live in Sacramento. Those places are extremely receptive, and it's a really cool environment because a lot of them are what I call dropout hippies. They were originally in San Francisco and decided San Francisco was becoming this high-tech nightmare, and they left so that they can continue their hippie lives into their 70s.
Yeah, okay.
and these people are just incredibly receptive. And I think the other thing, which it's funny because I joke a lot with my musician friends that this may be a curse more than a blessing. But my music tends to resonate a lot with other musicians. I have a big musician fan base. A lot of musicians follow me, which I think is hilarious.
Huh.
But as experience goes, usually a musician is not going to hit the top 40 charts.
Right. Well, music is art, and there's always been this dilemma in music. Artists get accused of selling out for the commercial dollar and leaving their art behind. So, it's neat that you get to pursue your music from the sense of art rather than needing to pursue the commercial dollar. So, maybe that's what musicians find attractive in your music, is that you're staying true to your art instead of finding this pull to sell out and create commercial music instead.
Yeah. That's a very good point. I hadn't thought about that, but I have a good friend of mine who leads a blues rock band here, said to me the other day, he says, I like the way he said that I haven't lost my punk sensibilities because I'm constantly giving the man the middle finger. And I think he meant the fact that I just refuse to play by those rules.
Yeah, sure.
Do my own thing.
Yeah. The conforming to that has been, the downfall, and from a lot of people's opinions, the downfall of music is when musicians conform to what the powers that be decide or tell them that they want. And when you try to fit into that mold, lots of times you leave your creativity behind. So, yeah. Absolutely.
And you know what? At the end of the day, Greg, I got to say, I don't judge or criticize anybody because everybody's got to make a living somehow.
Sure,
and I'm sure if I didn't have the jobs that I have, I may be looking at this entirely differently.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not about criticizing or judging anyone. It's just an approach that has worked for me, and I'm happy I can do it that way.
Well, and I think that's the end game, anyways. If you get to make art and you get to enjoy the process, then whatever that is for you, it is about you. And if somebody else likes it and appreciates it, that's the bonus. I think if you get to do it and you get to do it the way you enjoy it, then anything else that comes along is just extra.
Absolutely.
Well, so the new record, again, is Ghostly Musings from the Delta, comes out officially, I think you said August 30th, probably
August 30th.
Yeah, other places maybe before that. But what's the best way for folks to reach out if they want to talk to you about producing, or they want to learn more about your music, or get a copy of one of your other CDs?
So I think my email is always good, banjobones1@gmail. That's a great one, and I monitor it almost on an hourly basis because I get a lot of traffic there. I have a website, banjobones.com, where people can contact me through it. And, of course, there's Facebook, Banjo Bones on Facebook, which, by the way, two things. If any of your listeners are on Facebook, I would really appreciate anybody who likes my Facebook page because, believe it or not, at least here in California, a lot of bookers and promoters look at your Facebook page and the traffic in there to decide whether they want to hire you or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing I want to mention is on August 30th, on the release date, there is a record release party at a venue here in Sacramento called Blue Lamp. It's kind of a legendary venue. It's small. It's very small, but it caters to touring acts, to smaller touring acts, and it's just a really cool place. So I have a record release party there, and it's open, it's free, anybody can come, and I purposely make my record release parties free of charge, so anybody can get through the door who wants to get through the door. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I hope many people can come. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, we certainly wish you the best with the new record, and appreciate the time to talk to you this morning. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of Americana Music Profiles. Find us on iTunes at Americana Music Profiles and on the internet at AmericanaRhythm.com.